welcome to Maverrik Live. I'm your host Luke Two, and today I'm joined by Martin Ellis.
Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. Back again.
Back in Maverrik Dungeons.
That's it. Well, yeah, it's getting a bit more like that, isn't it? It's getting darker and darker. Although I've just moved into a new office, which mimicks this very much. So it's like being in my office, to be fair, because that one's all black.
Formulated as a podcast room with the rest of the soundproof walls and the dark paint.
I'm getting used to it now, so it's good.
And the intimidation factor. We've got you and Terry inside of this. So when you bring someone up, we've got a little white X on the floor.
That's it.
And then if they don't like what you hear, you can press a button and they'll go down into the cellars.
Into the cage.
Of course we don't do that. So today we're talking about a new way to look at revenue. It's quite a buzzy catchphrase title. Yeah. But what we're talking about is people's relationship with their cash flow, with invoices, how people are chasing them, how they are, how they banking it, what they're thinking about it. Because when it comes to a business, people can get really fixated on the money side of things. It is, in a sense, what people are there for. But also, you're thinking about services, thinking about the clients. There's a lot more goes into it. But that's kind of the general theme for a lot of companies.
Yeah, cash is always an important thing for a business. It always is and always will be. It's never going to change. I think for a lot of businesses, it's about how they structure what they're doing, if you sort of know what I mean. So, are they charging the right amounts for products? Have they got a policy and a procedure in for when they're invoicing and what they do when those invoices are late and all that sort of thing. So I think for a lot of businesses, cash is always going to be the king sort of thing, and getting the flow, especially if you're a new business. Established businesses, they get into that routine. They're pretty good at chasing things at the right time.
And every invoice is important, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a question of when you're chasing an invoice. When is the perfect time to do that? Is there ever a perfect time to do that?
Well, I guess it depends on how you've internally set yourselves up. We've got some procedures in place that actually send out some reminders for clients prior to that invoice being due, which are just nice little reminders that just say, just be aware, you've got one coming up. And then it just flows into the routine of, you're now overdue, is there anything we can help you with?
Then you get into the murky waters of,
But I think a lot of it is just to build relationships with a lot of the suppliers that you've got. If you've got good relationships with them, then you can talk to them about it. Understand, obviously, when they make that purchase from you in the first place, make sure they're aware of your payment terms, of why it's important that you set those terms.
Well, you both understand, because you'll be both companies essentially. It'll be business to business a lot of the time, and they understand that their cash flow is important, your cash flow is important. So they know where you're coming from, and then you know where they're coming from, in a sense. So you understand that the service has been completed, it's been up to standard, everyone's happy. Now it's the time of getting the invoice paid. They understand that, they're happy with the services, but they might be chasing someone else. And it can kind of be like that horrible thing. I went to get a mortgage on my house, and I was getting a house, and you had that whole ladder of chains. So that could be happening in business to business, like, oh, we're just waiting for this person to pay me, and then I can pay you.
That's just it.
And it's all about the communication of that, because if it's literally just by the numbers, it can be like a scary thing where you're like, well, there's 10 grand floating in the corner. And it's like the peace of mind of, knowing that's going to be there, when it's going to arrive, or, just the thought of having something in the distance and getting paid in advance, which I feel is something a lot of small businesses need to think about more than just the immediate.
Yeah, you've got to get that balance in. You can also look at structuring your invoicing policy so that you invoice on the due dates are set on certain days. So that you know that you've got these periods within your month that you're looking to see if there's anybody overdue, and that sort of money's going to come in those particular areas within the month. So you can better plan your billing and your buying and everything else, because that's what you've got coming in.
And over time, you can know the processes for larger companies, because there'll be a lot more probably tape and process on their side of things, so you can kind of work it out.
The larger companies, they do not want to pay 30 days, in fact 40 days, 45 days, 60 days for some of them. We've got some companies that pay us on those sort of basis. But you've got to, that's your process of when you're selling something like that. Understanding that that's their terms. You know, I mean, we always, somebody who's selling something, we like to say, these are our terms. But the bigger boys go, no, it ain't going to work that way. You do it by our terms. And sometimes you've got to do it that way because basically the whole process, you know, a lot of them you've got to fill out forms and give them all sorts of things, you know, all this vendor agreements and all sorts of bits and pieces that you've got to go through. But the rewards are high because normally those people are the ones that you're charging so much more for.
Yeah.
But, you know,
you'll give a lot more leeway.
Yeah, you've got to give them a little bit of leeway.
We'll send you a helicopter at a certain time, and if you're not in the field by 4 p.m, it might be gone, but it might not be there.
Yeah. And I think if you know that you're working with that type of business, you know that they're hopefully a little bit more reliable, that when they say they're going to pay on this day, it's in a process. You know, there's a whole accounts process in the background that just gets it done. The smaller businesses, that's where you get this struggle. I mean, if you can get people on direct debits payments, if you've got more than, you know, multiple payments coming out, ideal.
That's the best.
Get them booked up on those.
Well, really, it's down to relationships again, isn't it?
It is.
When you're talking about the sale between the salesperson and obviously the finance team, once that's been decided, it kind of like blends over.
Yeah.
But that relationship is always there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like whenever it comes to, say, the salesperson has offered maybe an exclusive discount just to get someone through the door, that needs to be communicated.
Yeah.
When that's going forward, maybe your prices change or you've got an additional services coming in.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about that communication, no matter what it is. So even if you're looking at finance, if you're looking at sales, even looking at what happens between a business, what you're saying really is it's about communicating that, talking it out, because it's not just figures, it's not just numbers, it's not just blank banking, it's talking to people.
It is talking to people, and it's talking to people in the right way and getting it over in the right sort of way. So, you know, I very rarely have to get to a point where I'm saying to somebody, you know, we're going to send somebody around to knock on your door to get some money.
Yeah.
Because hopefully before that point, you've understood what their pain is, what their problem is, why they're not paying, and you come to some sort of arrangement, you know. But where I get mostly frustrated is where people just don't communicate back to you. So you've asked them, and you're giving them an open door policy to say, actually, somebody's let us down, they've not paid us, can you give us a couple more weeks, we'll expect something in and we'll pay you then.
Yeah.
Fine. I know where I am. I'm going to stop sending you reminders. I'm going to stop sort of just saying, where are we? You've told me now. Yeah. Great. But also, if you're going to do that, make sure that is where you are. If it's going to slip again, I'm going to need to know. And also we can't keep getting into a routine of slipping.
I feel like in some instances, it could be a form of like, I'm too embarrassed to tell you this, but I'm waiting on this one thing to come through.
Yeah.
Which can be a bit...
But it's more frustrating if you don't communicate.
Yeah, but if you don't know, then you could be making up 500 reasons for why this isn't going wrong. Or it could be, they're out in the wind, or they've gone over to Hollywood and they're running away.
So communication is always key, and it has to be that two-way thing.
Yeah.
And like you say, I think it has to come from the initial sale and making sure everybody's aware of what's expected from both parties, really.
Yeah, as long as it's gone through, because if you're fixated on the money and the invoice and when they're coming in, and that takes over your world, you won't really give the value to the clients, because that's kind of where it'll go. They'll make sure that they pay you when you become such a valuable asset to them that losing you wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah,
that's all. Wouldn't be worth money at all.
Yeah. I mean, the money will come if you're delivering a good service, a good experience, or your products are good. The money will come back in. It will come in. The clients will pay it. But you've got to focus on doing all those sort of things right and getting that money.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for coming down, Martin.
That's all right.
And thank you all for watching Maverrik Live today. Don't forget to subscribe to us on our YouTube channel if you're enjoying the content, and follow us on, I was going to say subscribe to us on LinkedIn. You can't do that yet. We can only follow on LinkedIn so far. So it'll do us a really good favour if you also like the video and follow us on LinkedIn as well. Thanks again for coming down, Martin.
Thanks for inviting me.
And thank you all for watching Maverrik Live. We'll see you next time.